I got to ask you a question about Ron Simmons because I met Ron a long time ago back in World Championship Wrestling. We was working in Atlanta, and we always got along like gangbusters. He's a former football player, and, he's badass. My question to you is, Ron always had that tone, that voice. Ron could get your attention by reading the alphabet. And one of the promos I was watching you guys did, he basically goes, hey, shut your mouth. He told you to shut up. It was during a promo.
Mm-hmm.
But when he laid that tone on you, and you coming out of an alpha sport from all the weightlifting, powerlifting days, and all of a sudden you're dealing with a man like Ron Simmons, he was a bad dude.
You see the operative word you use? A man.
Oh, yeah.
In the dictionary under man, there's a picture of Ron Simmons with his hand on his chin like the thinker. And Ron Simmons is a grown man. There's a lot of men on this planet, but it ain't many grown men. Ron Simmons, I watched this dude go in the gym with a pair of blue jeans and cowboy boots, put 315 on the bar, no warm-up, do 20 reps, rack it, comb his hair for about 2 minutes, put his comb in his boot, take it off, do another set of 20. John, I'm going to the car. That was his workout. He was country strong, and it wasn't just training strong. It was from his soul.
Yeah.
And I felt like I size people up. I know you're an athlete. You size people up. You're like, look, if shit go wrong and I got to hit this dude, let me find that weakness. I'm sizing him up. I would look at Ron sometimes, and Ron was like your grandfather. He was like, what you looking at me like that for? He knew that you were sizing him up, and he was letting you know right away, don't think that it's okay for you to size me up. And I go, yes, sir. He's the only person I think I've ever been scared of in my life. Like, that's a grown man.
It was early 90s. We was over in Japan. A bunch of us American guys were over there. This is my first time over there. We was over there for about a 3-week period, and I tore my tricep off my right arm on the third night. So back in the day, man, if you tore your tricep off your arm, you stayed and you worked. That's just the way it was.
It wasn't going to get no worse?
No, but it wasn't going to get no better. It's just the way it was. So to help me out, they put us in a lot of tags and 6-mans. So one of the nights, and, Ron always had that voice, and it was a 6-man, and me and Arn were on the apron. Ron was in there. We were working against the Japanese guys. And you'd always hear, hey, man, some of those guys are strong style you or be stiff with you, sending a message, or that's how they worked. Man, those guys, it was like Shakespearean theater. Nobody would, it was like light as a feather. And especially when Ron got out there, Arn used to always call me Hog. He goes, hit me with his elbow. We're in the Japanese crowd. He goes, man, I feel sorry for those guys over there. And Ron was just whipping those guys around like it was like they weighed 150 pounds and just doing whatever he wanted. But it was like, if Ron started taking care of business, Ron was going to take care of business. Bottom line, don't mess with him. Don't fuck with him.
No, I the only time that I ever seen it in live in 3D was dumbass Ahmed Johnson. All people in the world to pick a beef with. He kicked Ron and lacerated Ron's liver.
Ooh.
And Ron was out for about 9 months. And I'm thinking the whole time, when Ron come back, I feel sorry for this dude because he gave him his body and he kicked him as hard as I ever seen a human being kicked. Teddy Long was driving the car with me, and he said, hey, man, Ron Simmons come back next week. I said, oh, man, that's cool. He was like, nah, listen, this is between me and you. I live in Atlanta. I talk to Ron all the time. Ron is pissed. And he said that when he come back, he gonna hurt this dude. And I'm like, oh, snap. Like, I couldn't. I'm like, he's like, don't say nothing, I'm just letting you know, like, don't be around him because he got heat. I was like, all right, I ain't messing with him anyway. So they get back, and I remember the first time I saw Ron is always like, hey, Henry. He walked right by me like I wasn't there. Posted up in the locker room. And I can't remember who it was. Somebody went and sat next to him. Ron grabbed all his stuff kind of in a huff and moved it over into an area where he was by himself. And it was so unlike Ron. He was so angry being back at the arena knowing that Ahmed was coming. and he was mentally preparing himself for what was about to happen. And I remember looking at the card, and Ron been gone for 9 months or more. And it was Ron Simmons, Ahmed Johnson. And I went, holy cow, it was a sellout. I remember being a sellout.
Refer to the two, what you're talking about, a sellout. I'm sure
Okay, so for those that don't know what a sellout, this is not when, you sell all the tickets in the arena. I'm talking about when all the boys are standing at the curtain and they're peeking through because they want to watch what's going to happen with their real eyes rather than watching a monitor or being in a gorilla position. All the boys are watching. And I remember standing next to D-Lo, and D-Lo hated Ahmed Johnson. They had a fight earlier that year, and which D-Lo stretched his ass. He had, Triple H had Hunter Hearst Helmsley at the time had a run-in with him, and he threatened to beat up Hunter, and he was going to moke him. And he was like, no, but D-Lo said, nobody's moking nobody. And that's when they got in a fight. But D-Lo was standing next to him. He said, hey, this ain't going to take long. And I went, like, it was a build-up. And I'm telling you, it was not a lockup. It was a mauling. Ron ran through him. His back hit the ground. Ron stomped on his stomach, and then when he rolled over to try to get up, Ron kicked him in the ribs, broke 3 of his ribs, and I mean, it was like watching a tiger or a lion or something attack some helpless animal in the wild. And Ron pinned him. And at this time, and I'm going to use your analogy, Ahmed Johnson was over as hell during that time. The only person getting a reaction like yours was his. He was that over. 6 months later, done. He got killed off in one night. It was that night that Ron came back and whooped his ass. His run was over. And he never was the same. He had to leave. He couldn't be there. He couldn't be there no more.
I didn't know that.
Oh my God, Ron ran him out the business. And his life of crime started because he wasn't a good enough wrestler to go to WCW and be a player. People carried him his whole career. As you can tell, I don't like him. I never liked him. He was a bad example for a black man. People struggle to get in this business and to try to make a success and try to be equal and to be better than equal, and he was ruining it. And Ernie Ladd told me when I came in this business, he said, Henry, don't mess it up for everybody to look like you afterwards. And I felt like Ahmed he did not get that memo. Nobody told him. And I think that he was such a liar and people didn't have enough faith in him to do the right thing that they just wouldn't help him anyway. And so, he ended up doing his own thing. But he tried to pill me one night. I ate with him and Fatu. And I turned my drink up, and then it's 2 somas in my water. I don't drink alcohol. Ain't no telling 2 somas could have killed me for all I knew. It might not have, but I'm like, look, guys, somebody got to answer for this. What happened? Who put these in my drink? Fatu said, look, man, I ain't saying nothing about nobody else, but I ain't do it. And it wasn't but 2 of them sitting there. And I love Junior for it. Yeah. And we sat there. I said, look, go on finish your meal because I'm going outside and, we're going to handle this when you come outside. And 30 minutes go by, 40 minutes go by. I just pulled him and Fatu's bags out the car, threw them on the curb, and I went on to Miami. We were in West Palm. I'll never forget it. I was so angry. That was about as angry as I ever been in the business. And I never liked Ahmed since. And he never apologized or nothing. Just like this is a guy that's based my whole life on being drug-free. And you're going to try to pill me. You're going to put, you go to prison for that now.
Yeah.
You do that, you go to prison.
Did you never drink?
I never drank. I drank in college. My freshman year in college, when I first left and went to Pikes Peak Community College in Colorado Springs at the Olympic Training Center, I got so sick that night. I was like, Lord God, if you deliver me from this pain and this spinning and vomiting, I'll never do it again. Never drink again.
Are you serious?
I don't drink. I never drank after that.
No pills on the road?
Nothing. I never did. I don't smoke. I smoke cigars with the boys every now and then, but that's more social. It's not like I smoke cigars every week or every month. Every 2 or 3 months, I might smoke a cigar. That's about it.
There's a lot of temptations on the road. How did you stay steadfast and
strip clubs?
Everybody got a fight.
Everybody.
Hallelujah. Okay.
Ted DiBiase used to say that everybody had a price. You just coined a new T-shirt. Everybody's got a vice. Man, I was a fool, man. I used to hit them strip joints, man, them shake clubs. I hang out with the boys. If you spent $5, I spent $5. We had a ball. And then you got to grow up. And, I just